I just wanted to welcome everyone this evening. This is the topic for tonight is security as it relates to email and social media. The thought behind it was, every day security issues arise. In fact, I had one of my neighbors over the house about an hour ago because she thought that her bank account had been hacked. So we went through it and kind of went through some things and changed some things and on her account, even really based around this two-factor authentication, which is the main topic of tonight, really geared around Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and obviously your email accounts. We're going to look at Gmail tonight. I think most people, that's what they're using today. And so we're gonna look at Gmail, and I will post the steps for all of these accounts that we use and that we have, and we'll get a link up here shortly as far as how to do each and every step. So the key thing is,
I saved it out there for you, Donald, so you could just pick it up and share it.
Yeah. The key thing there is having, when we talk about security means a lot about a lot of different things. And I'm trying to figure out why this is not working right.
So while he's trying to figure that out, I'll tell you kind of why this got started. Was last week I noticed my emails were not coming into my top producer account, and I'm like, that's weird. 9:18 a.m. they stopped coming, and it's a forward from a GoDaddy email. And I went to the back end of GoDaddy email and I looked at where I had been logged in. Tell you not, there was 200 places I had been logged into, and I didn't know 99% of them. And they had taken the forwarding off for my top producer. If they hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have caught it as quick. The good news is I didn't have any contacts in there or anything else, and so they didn't have any reason to be able to get my contacts or anything else like that. So, but it's one of those things that then you have to go look and see if you have two-step authentication turned on everywhere, change passwords otherwise, because they tried to get in Facebook also. I have two-step on it. Just had it automatically on there. So you can't be too careful in today's world. It's happening.
Yeah, so I just in the chat, I posted a file that has pretty much what we're going to cover tonight. First topic, let's talk about what most of us use from a social media perspective, which is two-factor authentication for Facebook, right? So why is this not moving? This is kind of weird why this is not working. Don't know why it's not working. Well, anyway, so let me share my screen. Let me get Facebook. Let me get Facebook up here. And we can start looking at Facebook. Okay. Share screen. So hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
All right, so the key thing is when you log into your Facebook account, you're going to go to settings and privacy. Going to go to settings. You can do this on your phone. You can do this on your computer. Going to pretty much work the same way. We're going to go to security and login, and we're going to come down to two-factor authentication. Use two-factor authentication. I already have it turned on. You're going to put your password in. Right now, I've got it turned on already. I have it configured to where it will send me an email, a text message rather. It will send me a text message with a number. And then I will put that number in. Once the phone gets the text message, I'll put the phone number in, and then it'll authenticate me in. So I've used a password to get into Facebook, and then I've used a text message, a set of numbers that they've given me, and I've put that on Facebook. So most of your accounts are going to work the same way, whether it's Instagram or what have you. They all have these different settings. And that's really it.
On that, you could also add a backup plan. So if you lost your phone or the phone was stolen, it has the authentication app, I think is what it's called. I forgot what the words are there.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a third-party app. There's several different ways you can do it. You can do it via text. You can do it via the authentication app. And I think you could do it via email as well. So I think those are the three different ways that you can get authenticated.
But you always want to have backups on that. So text is good, but if you lost your phone or it's stolen, you need to have another way to be able to get on. So you could set backups on that two-factor. So
yeah, so you're
see down there, add a
here's your
backup.
backups.
Right. So there's three different choices. I have the authentication app and the text set on mine because you never know.
Right. So that's really Facebook. That's all you're doing. So you're actually, all you're adding is another authentication. Now, does it get annoying? Yeah, it gets annoying after a little while that I've now got to look at my phone to put the number in on the computer or on the phone. The good thing about if you're doing everything via phone, you can tend to copy and paste very easily the code that they give you right into the app itself, so that it makes it easier to get onto Facebook. But if you do these with each of your accounts, it does get annoying, I have to tell you, but it's more annoying when they hack your account.
So last week when they tried to get into Facebook, it came up on my phone in my text that says, hey, somebody from wherever it was is trying to change your password. Do you want to allow it? And yes or no. And then, the two-factor was on, so they couldn't do it anyways, because they didn't have my phone. They didn't have the authentication app assigned to me. So that's why it's so important to do this, because if I hadn't have noticed my email and I didn't have this on, who knows what they would have had fun with on Facebook with me last week.
I'm sorry, I came in a little late, but where is it we find this page?
So when you log into Facebook, you're going to come to the top right-hand corner where the down arrow is. You're going to click on that and you're going to go to settings and privacy.
Okay, good.
Then you're going to go to settings. And then this comes up. You're going to go to security and login. And then you're going to come down here to two-factor authentication.
And he
Great,
gave
thank
us
you.
the instructions in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'll repost it again as well. But
thank you.
as you can see, it's turned on already. And you're just going to come in here and set it up. You're going to turn it on, use, there's several different methods, but I use text. And as Debbie mentioned, she also has turned on the authentication app. So you're logging in using your password that you normally use, and then you're going to get prompted for the two-factor authentication when you're trying to log in.
And the good news with Facebook is it will ask you, okay, you signed in, you said it's okay. Do you want to make this a trusted computer, phone, whatever it is? And then you don't have to do this again, as long as they don't get hold of your computer or phone. So if they had hacked into my computer, then that'd been a different story.
Yeah, like Debbie had mentioned, if there's activities that go on, they're going to ask you, are you in Russia, as an example? Well, I'm sitting in Florida. I'm not in Russia. You want to make sure that you pay attention to those prompts when it prompts you that somebody's trying to get into your account. Don't just fluff it off and click yes. You want to make sure, because once they're in, they're in. And they can do all sorts of damage and things to your account, especially if you have, not in Facebook so much, but if you have financial information tied to any of your accounts, or you have a driver's license, you have pictures, you have things like that on any of your accounts, they now have access to it. So you want to be very careful, especially when we get to the email part of it, because in email, we all get it. We all get these bogus emails, and they're from all walks of life. Oh, you've won the Ireland lottery. You won $20 million. Well, the likelihood of you winning the Ireland lottery is slim to none. But there are a lot of people out there, you'd be surprised, who click, yes, sign me up. It only costs $29.95 to get my money. When I was doing security, corporate security, the easiest way for me to get passwords, go to the secretary. Secretary give me a password almost all the time. Hey, it's Donald from the IT department. I'm on the phone. It's Donald from the IT department. Hey, I know you have the password for whatever executive you work for. I'm trying to help them out and trying to get their email working right. Could you give me the password to their email account? You'd be shocked at how many times I would get their password. It's no different with this two-factor, or when somebody's trying to break into your account. What they're trying to do is gain access to your information, whatever it might be. Debbie, which one you want to do? Any questions on Facebook? Two-factor authentication on Facebook. Any questions?
I have a quick question. So a lot of people I know, they're getting these fake, I'm getting fake requests from people that have been hacked that I'm friends with already. Or how is that happening?
Everybody's account is vulnerable.
Yeah.
They're
So
getting,
would this protect that then?
this would put another layer of protection. That's all we're trying to do, is make sure that people are protected as far as they can go. Antivirus software on computers, as an example.
Mhm.
They're only as good as the last update, right? If the company hasn't updated their software recently, and there's a new hack out, they're going to get into your computer.
Yeah, I've had that happen. I have an Apple products. I have the desktop and the laptop, and I got Apple because I thought that, it was not as susceptible to hacking.
Yeah.
However, I don't have any additional software, and I'm wondering about that, but I'll get these little kind of flashes that'll come up in the screen. Norton says it's time to update your antivirus software or McAfee. And I'm like, is that a hack? What's going on with that kind of stuff? Because I don't know if I should even be purchasing additional software. But the other day I did get on a WhatsApp, I got a message from someone, hey, I needed to update you with some information. And I clicked on that link, and apparently it was, he sent out another message, hey, if any of you are receiving messages from me, I've been hacked. So I went into Facebook and I changed my password. It's just, I'm wondering about the software component, because I thought Apple had its regularly scheduled, it had its own kind of software and its own kind of updates, but I'm not really sure about that.
So Apple, at one point, Apple was probably the most secured operating system out there.
Mhm.
Today, they're probably as vulnerable as anybody else.
Yeah.
And my suggestion always is, do some homework, look at what works best. CNET.com has some good insights as to looking at antivirus or security packages. My other suggestion is always have a router on your network at home. So you have your cable modem, or you have your modem of whatever type of internet service you have. Always put a router in place, because you can configure your router to help offset interference as well, as far as somebody trying to hack your network. Remember, the ISPs, the internet service providers, the AT&Ts, the Comcast, the Xfinities, whatever service you may have, their intent is just to provide you internet service. Yes, in recent years, they've added on these security components, but they're for you to configure, they're for you to make sure you want them, and it's not part of their service. They'll give you free McAfee or Norton, depending on which service provider you're using, but it's up to you to configure it the way you want to configure it. It's not up to them. Now, Xfinity, I know, in recent years, they've started offering security services because people's computers were getting hacked. So they now offer a service. I'm sure AT&T does. I'm sure all of your big carriers do. But again, it's still up to you. I remember the days that Apple used to say, oh, we're too secure. Nobody's going to get us. Well, guess what? If a hacker wants to get into anything, they will eventually figure out a way to get into it. I don't care what it is.
Now, when you talk about router, so I have Verizon, and I have wireless, but I have, a router that came with I still have cable services. I'm actually one of the few people that still have a landline phone as well. And are you saying that I need to get an additional router?
No, you just need to make sure that it's configured properly.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
So what you want to do is you want to look up and see what router you have
Okay,
and look and see, the configuration options. Or if you know an IT person
Hmm.
locally that could come and take a look at it and configure it for you, even better. But you want to know what they're doing, just so that you know what they're doing, because they're going to ask you questions anyway. How many devices do you have in your home? I mean, I only have 2 people in my home, and we have probably 14 devices. When you start adding your phones, your TVs, your laptops, your iPads, your
yeah,
regular computers, you start adding all those things up and you start thinking about it. Wow, I got 3 TVs, I've got 3 computers, I've got 2 cell phones, and you start adding them up, they add up pretty quick. People talk about bandwidth. So how much bandwidth do I need for all these devices? You're not using all the devices at the same time. You might be using 1 TV or 2 TVs. Certainly your cell phones are connected to your network automatically, more than likely, because you want to use that speed instead of your cellular speed on your phones. We've gone to this wireless thing, and wireless can be good and wireless can be bad, because again, it's another way of people being able to hack your network. I remember guys standing on top of overpasses on highways and being able to pick off cell phone numbers because people were talking on their cell phone. Then what they did was they took their cell phone, cloned your number in it,
oh,
when they used to charge by the minute. So you'd get a bill for $300-400 and you go, that's not me. I only have 1 phone. So there's many ways to get into people's accounts, computers,
And,
networks, the whole 9 yards.
and you just triggered something that I wanted to make sure we covered. I have Verizon, but I'm sure the other ones have it too. You can actually block your phone, that nobody can port it to another place, a device, a different company, etc., without a whole lot of trouble. And there's security, different levels of security that they ask you to be able to do it. If you don't have that set up, with your carrier, whoever that might be, you want to look into it. There was a lot of that going on just a couple of years ago when COVID. I think people had nothing better to do than to figure out a way to scam people. So I know Verizon has it. It's just tell them you don't want anybody to be able to port your phone somewhere, and you can do that. So one thing else that when you were talking about people standing on the bridge, I have this device in my house, so I'll spell it because I don't want anybody to activate. Alexa.
oh, yeah,
Otherwise I'll have her talking to me.
yeah.
I actually changed one of my device's names because the TV would say it on a regular basis and activate it. There's a new thing in there that is on the sidewalk. So if you go in security through the app on your phone or your tablet, there's a thing that they set and they turned it on. So if you don't want somebody on the sidewalk, quote, being able to use it, you need to turn that off also. I assume they'd have to have your password to get in through the router, but
What is
I'm
it?
not thinking. It's, what I spelled?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Under settings, but it's on your app. So on
Under
my
that
phone,
app.
yep,
Oh,
look in settings, and it's just, it's a thing that you'll find it out there.
okay.
And
And
so
what is it we're clicking off? What is it that we're gonna?
it's something like on the sidewalk or share with the sidewalk or something like that. I was trying to get to it while we were doing it, but she's
Okay.
wanting to tell me what the temperature is right now. So that's important stuff. So, but anyways, you just have to watch your devices on a regular basis. And when things change, you need to make sure things are still the way you thought they were. So I'll take over for the Instagram. Instagram, you would think would be provided with Facebook, but it's not. So let me see if I can share my screen. So anybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I just went to Instagram, my little photo up here in the top right corner under settings. And then I think it's under privacy and security. And you scroll down and the two-factor authentication. And I have mine set with the text. I think this one, let's see, can I turn both of them on? Is not supported on the web, so you have to do it on the phone only. So I have the text there, but it's the same concept as what Facebook is. But you would think since Facebook owns Instagram that they would have it all connected, but they don't. So any questions on that one? So go there, settings, and privacy, security, and scroll down, you'll find two-factor. Make sense?
Yep. Yeah, and that's what we've done in the PDF file that's here is what we've done. All we've done is gone out to each of the social media platforms and just do two-factor authentication, and you'll get the same instructions that you have in this document.
So some of the other places to think about is your banks. All your banking accounts will have two-factor authentication. You definitely want to have those on. All your financial. So if you have IRAs or 401bs or anything with the financial planners, all those accounts should have your authentication two-step available on those. So you want to turn it on anywhere you can.
Good to know.
So all the other social media accounts are basically the same way. You're just going to go into your settings, look at two-factor authentication, and configure it the same way. They just, because they're owned by different companies, they're done individually. Gmail, Google, and YouTube are in just one system. So when we talk about Google, your Gmail account, and YouTube, you're basically going right into your Google account. So I'm going to go back and share my screen. And wrong screen. Let's see, wrong screen. Let's get out of here. We'll go into this screen. Get out of the way. Got too many windows open. That's part of my problem. So if we come into your Gmail, you're going to go into your navigation panel. So you're going to go down to.
We're still seeing Facebook.
You're still seeing Facebook? Why are you seeing Facebook? All right, stop sharing. Let's reshare. All right, now you should be seeing,
Yep, now we got it.
you should be seeing there. And we're going into here, if I remember correctly. And we're going to go into let's see, too many tools in here.
And the navigation thing,
Account
security. Yep.
security. And then where did we go? Two-step verification is turned on. So it's going to ask you for your password. I've got it turned on since May 18, 2020. So it's been on for a little while. I also have it, so it's going to prompt either my iPad or my iPhone or both devices. And again, it's going to send me a number. And it's going to ask me, is this you, basically? And I'm going to say yes. So it's going to ask my phone or my iPad, is this you in the Villages, Florida, or wherever I might be? And I'm going to click yes, and then it'll authenticate it. So it's as simple as that. Now, being that, and that's going to go across all three platforms. So that's the nice thing. The way Google does it is it covers all their platforms using one configuration.
What's Cookie talking about?
Cookie's talking, she hears a dog barking outside somewhere, I guess. Sorry about that. And then again, you have your backup codes, you have your authenticator app, and you have a security key. So you can use those as backups as well. And of course, you have your trusted devices.
I have a question. When I do those backup codes, so I get the Google app, the Google Authenticator app or whatever, it never, ever, ever works. And I don't know what I am doing wrong when I do those backup codes. And then the one with the 8 digits, I
So
have
there-
those.
So there's your codes.
Are those reusable?
These are the codes that are.
Hey, how'd you get there?
Okay, yeah, I can't keep them up too long. So I went to backup codes,
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
and there they are. See,
He's showing us his backup codes.
Oh.
they will be
You think
changed.
we're gonna remember it? This girl won't.
So that's where you go. You go to backup codes, and they pop up. I can print them, I can download them, I can get trash them.
This is recorded.
Yeah, it'll be recycled after this session's done.
Okay,
But I mean, that's as simple as it is for
Backup
backup
codes.
codes.
But it
you.
is single time. So you use it and that code goes away and it's
Right.
replaced with a different
With
one.
a different one.
Right. So if you go back one screen, Donald, I think it was on, so somewhere, see where it says single step Florida? Can you click on that to see if it shows you where else you've been? It doesn't show you all of them. Someplace in Google, it actually shows you where all you've been logged in. And it may be further down on that screen. So signing in.
Here's the, so here's the
Yeah,
different
there you go.
security check.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. So this is February, Florida, Windows machine, Zoom, Zoom was given access. So I gave Zoom access to my account because I was demonstrating stuff. So you can actually backtrack and see what you've done in the last 28 days.
And that's what I saw on my GoDaddy email, the very similar type thing that I had logged in all these foreign places I didn't even know. So you kind of, if you think something's going on, you want to look at your recent activity.
And of course, I gave Google, so you got two-step verification turned on. You can even do app passwords. So there's all kinds of different things. And then of course, you have your recovery device as well as a recovery email. Should always have those. That should be automatic. Now, if I wanted to turn something on and show that I'm no longer in Florida, but yet I am in Florida, I would use a virtual private network, a VPN. And what that does is that creates a tunnel between my computer and the service provider I'm using for that VPN. So I can look like I'm in Europe. I could look like I'm in Boston, Massachusetts by not even being there. But a virtual private network is another secure tool that you can use as well. And that costs typically a monthly fee of a few dollars a month. I use that as well. Right now I have it turned off, but if I wanted to turn it on very easily, I'd go to the app itself and stop sharing. Turn it on. Actually, it is turned on. Share screen. So you should see a map right now.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so what that does is I can tell you where I want to turn this on. Might be Australia, might be Argentina, might be Belgium. I can go anywhere in the world and look like I'm actually there because my IP address will show that as if I'm sitting in that country. So in order for a hacker to hack that, it's slim to none that they're ever going to be able to hack that. Because if they're trying to get into my network, they might be able to get into my network, but they'll never get into my computer because my IP address, which is every device has an IP address. Internet protocol is what IP stands for. But every device has an IP address. My IP address is not my local IP address. When I have this turned on, it might look like I'm somewhere else and it'll have a totally different IP address than what my network is in my home.
So how do you decide where you want to be on a daily basis?
I don't. I usually just let it pick wherever it wants me to be. Like here,
Okay.
I'm gonna connect. And it's showing right now that I'm connected in the US somewhere. This is probably Miami. So I'm connected in Miami right now, as you can see. But if I wanted, so let me see if it'll show me my IP address. So it won't show me the IP address. But if I wanted to show up now in New York, now I'm in New York. I'm connected in New York. So the nice thing about this is I can be anywhere. If I want to watch New York sports as an example, I can now be sitting in New York watching New York sports because I am considered local to New York. And I hope I'm not confusing everybody. But that's what I can do now. So I can go probably look at a New York channel that's showing the sporting event I want to see because it's local. Or I want to see my favorite football team. I got to go to Dallas. So I might go to the Dallas, where Dallas is covered. So I can go anywhere by showing a different IP address. Here's Costa Rica. So now it's finding a server in Costa Rica. Looks like it's having a hard time, but it connected to Costa Rica. So I can be anywhere in the world, wherever their servers are, and they have a ton of them. I happen to use NordVPN, but there are many different services out there. And this is frankly how I protect myself. I have it on my cell phone. I have it on every computer. I still have the two-factor authentication stuff.
So could you tell this VPN?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Could you tell us one more time or put it in the chat
Sure.
how to get this VPN? And then once we get it, is it a random thing where, you know, it'll shuffle around and create different IP addresses on a daily basis just to prevent hacking? Or would it be something that you have to do on your own?
So once you're connected, it's primarily going to stay where it's connected. So on a daily, if you wanted to change your IP address on a daily basis, you'd have to come in, disconnect, and then reconnect wherever you want to connect to.
But in general, if I have a VPN, I remember when I worked in corporate, I had a VPN that was set up from IT, but since
Right.
I'm not, I don't have a VPN. So I always envisioned it that it was just a secure network.
It's
Getting this VPN would actually make my network, even if I'm home, it would make my network more secure. Is that what you're saying?
yes. So yes. So what this is the same as your corporate VPN that you used to have. They have your corporate, where whatever company you were with, either they did it one of two ways. They either outsourced it to a company like this, or they did it internally and placed the server on the corporate network and had you come in that way.
Yeah, I think that's the way they did it.
And then
actually.
they assigned you, they usually have different ranges of IP addresses that they would give you that had nothing to do with the corporate network. So if you can envision, so this pipe right here, if you will, this pipe is from my house to Xfinity's network.
Mhm.
What I'm doing by doing that is that's their network. I ride it, no VPN.
Right.
Once I turn my VPN on, I'm actually going through this pipe with another pipe, we call it a pipe, but a VPN connection, so that Xfinity knows nothing about this connection. And that's why hackers can't get to it.
So like,
Because even your carrier doesn't know anything about it.
so like my husband, he has his home office too. Would we be able to get one account and have, or do we have to get separate VPNs for each computer?
No, so you can get an account that you can have a certain number of devices is how they do it.
Okay.
So your account, every provider is different. Some of them have, 3 or 4, some of them go up to 6. And then if you want more, obviously you reach out to them and they work some price out with you and they'll give you a dedicated VPN connection.
So my
So
provider,
it's-
Verizon, should I be contacting Verizon to say, I want a VPN network. Is that how it works? Or
They're not going to give you a VPN network. It's
Okay.
typically third-party, VPNs are third-party providers.
which one? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be monopolizing this conversation, but we've had issues with being hacked. So would you be able to provide us with some sources of really good VPN providers?
Yeah, and there's a handful of them that are good. Like I said, I think, I forget when my account expires, but I usually wind up getting 3-year accounts for under $100.
So I put the one he's showing here in the chat. So that's the official place to go for
Okay,
the one he has.
thank you.
Yeah, and that's just one. It's just the one I happen to like, but there are many of them out there that do a really good job.
Yeah,
and I will. And when I post the video tomorrow, the link to the video, I'll add some more to what Debbie had,
Thank you.
which is this one. But there are several really good companies out there that that you can use.
Mr. Maycott,
Yes, sir.
with the VPN on, how does that affect your functionality? Like, I'm sure if you're going sign on to the MLS, you just put in your password and
Yep.
you're in. But
Yeah,
I guess if you Google Lowe's, it's going to give you Lowe's corporate, but it's not going to guess, the Lowe's down the street
Well,
from you.
so in the case of that, you'll have to put in your local zip code,
Yeah, that's fine. But
right?
you haven't.
But it wouldn't pick it up. It wouldn't pick it up. It would pick up the local to wherever the VPN is
Right.
connected to.
So it would think my closest Lowe's would be in Puerto Rico,
Correct.
for example.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
But as far as all the Google stuff, so basically you're in incognito mode all the time.
Correct.
Okay.
So the
If you go
downside-
to your KB Core site, it's not going to recognize you.
I'm logging in via KV Core, just like I normally would.
Yeah, I mean, like your
It'll just think I'm in Puerto
Customer-facing-
Rico.
yeah, the customer facing website. I've been to my front facing website so much it knows who I am, and I get a text say, "Hey, Moreland's looking at houses again."
Right.
But if I did that through the VPN, the little sign up card would come down.
Yeah, it might show you being in Puerto Rico, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's good for many different things, but to me, just my personal experience, to me, it works. It's a great deterrent from hackers trying to hack your accounts.
Right. I've only been shy about pulling the trigger and getting one for the house, thinking that Google wouldn't like it. And since I do so much of my business through Google, I didn't want to mess up any of the functionality of, Zapier feeding to KB Core from the Gmail and all that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be interfered with. Now, what may be interfered from time to time is you may see something that you can't get to. Just turn the VPN off. If you notice, when I had the VPN, I had to pause. Turn it back on again. Let's see, share screen. So when I want to disconnect, you'll see that I have a disconnect. I have a time frame in which I can, and then it'll re-engage itself after that time frame is up.
All right.
Which I do periodically, but every so often there'll be a site that you normally can get to. You might have to disconnect it for, pause it for a few minutes, do what you want to do, and then it'll just turn itself back on in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour.
Gotcha.
But to me. And, until you get used to that, it can be frustrating. I know I went to that site yesterday, and then you forget you had turned on the VPN. You just disconnected or pause it for just a few minutes, and then you do whatever it is that you want to do. I didn't really want to take up all this time on the VPN part, but I feel it's important because it is a simple way of securing your devices, whether it's your phone. I have the same app on my phone, so I have it turned on. So where your bars are up at the top, it'll say VPN next to it when the VPN is turned on.
Cool.
But you still need to do the two-step authentication
still
on
need-
everything.
That's your safest way initially, is the two-factor authentication on all of your social media and on Google, so that at least those, when you're on those devices, you don't have to worry about it. It's on, everything will still work, where, the VPN is another layer, if you will. I just happen to like it even more than the two-factor authentication.
Yeah, Carla, you were talking about, renewing whatever security package. I don't have McAfee, but I get emails all the time. We just renewed your McAfee for $365.
Right.
And well, that's to me just a way for somebody trying to have you click on it and say, no, I didn't subscribe to that. So, it's always the thing, what you have. And so don't click on something you don't have.
I don't even know what I have, honestly. I have to figure it all out because, as I said, I have these Apple products and I assumed that they're doing their thing in the background and I don't have to purchase any other packages. But I have no idea.
Yeah, and they are, Apple, I've got a Mac sitting to the right side of me, because I've been a Mac user for many, many years. And, I always heard Apple, we don't have to worry about the Macs. They're a Linux-based operating system. They're just like Windows, except a different flavor of it. And there are holes in every application you have out there. If somebody wants in, they're going to get in.
So what do you purchase additional virus protection packages for your Apple devices, for your desktop?
Yep.
Or your laptop? You do. And what do you like to use?
I like to use a program called Kaspersky.
Oh, yes.
It's a Russian.
Yeah, my husband loves that. Yes.
Yes. So Kaspersky is so Israel and Russia have the most sophisticated security probably out of any other country in the world. Those two countries are very sophisticated when it comes to security. I like Kaspersky. I was the first vendor who sold Kaspersky in the US. They are a US based company as well as a Russian company. But I like Kaspersky simply because they update their software as soon as they find a new hack. So if they find a hack out there that somebody has found what they call a vulnerability in an application or in a program, they figure out what the fix is and they update their software immediately. They're the only company that I know of that does that. So you might get 5 updates in a day from Kaspersky, where McAfee or Norton, you may not get one for a month. Well,
Yeah, I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but with all this stuff going on and Russians doing this hacking and China doing that hacking, do you feel like that kind of software from the Russian software there might be any vulnerabilities there or no?
No.
Okay.
No, the federal government actually, that was when Kaspersky first came to the US 20 years ago or so. That was you couldn't put it on a federal government network. Today they will allow it because they've proven that it has nothing to do with the country at all.
Okay.
But I mean, everybody has their own preference. I'm just telling you mine. I'm not endorsing them. Any
No.
of these things I'm not endorsing, but
Yeah, I know. It's just good to
I'm just
hear
telling you what I use.
people in general, what they, what people are using in their experience, because, everybody's got their own preference. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, Isabel says that Norton provides me with a link to turn on Safe VPN every time I connect to the internet.
Oh,
That's awesome. I've seen Safe VPN. I don't know much about them, but do your homework like anything else. What works for me may not work for you for whatever reason. So my suggestion is, go out to the CNETs of the world and do, Google searches on, best VPN or best antivirus software or best security for my home. Always keep those things in mind, because again, what works for me may not work for you.
Yeah, the Safe VPN through Norton is a new product, probably a year ago, maybe,
Okay.
and you could turn it on. So anyways, any other questions? We're at that hour.
Yeah, and I'll put these links in, in the workplace chat tomorrow, or when I put the post up of this recording, I'll put some links in there for the different things, as well as the PDF file that shows you all the two-factor authentication for each of the apps, the social media apps, as well as Google.
I just want to say thank you. This is very helpful and it's appreciated, and it's nice to be able to walk through this so that we can walk through it with our clients too. So sometimes we just know how to do it, but we don't know how to get back.
Yep.
So for us to do it and help somebody else, that's a little challenge. So this was really great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and the whole thing behind this is, as Debbie said earlier, she got hacked last week, and I know it's extremely painful. I lost $145,000, so I know all about hacking now. It's not a lot of fun.
Mine actually was a Microsoft Office Exchange account that I hadn't turned two-step on, because Google or GoDaddy had just switched me over about 6 months ago. Didn't even think about it. So unfortunately, that was my fault, but you never know.
That's
So
true. Anything else?
Any
Any
other
other questions?
I had a question. When I was doing the two-step verification, it tells me that it's using my phone to sign in and turn. How do I want to turn that off, or?
No, that's part of the two-factor authentication. Is it's going to send your phone a code for you to put on either your phone or your computer or your iPad.
makes sense.
Okay, so I'm getting back to it. So it says you're using your phone to sign in, and I don't want to turn that off, right?
Correct.
Okay. So cancel that. All right, so I guess I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
you always want two devices to have. You have to have two devices. You can't let your computer always do everything, because if they hack into that, they got total control. If they steal your phone, they don't have total control, because you still have your laptop or your tablet. So that's why I say have backups to backups.
I've had times where they tell me they've sent it to my phone and I've never gotten a number back on that. So frustrating.
So
I'll
which,
call you next time it happens.
on Facebook? On
Uh-huh.
Facebook?
Oh, yeah, it's been driving me nuts because I would get locked out all the time. But now you show me where those codes are, so now I'll be able to get back to those.
I actually use the authentication app on Facebook and then my phone as backup because I had a similar problem, Amy, and I don't know what it was, but I can always use the authentication app. So, and that's on my phone also.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else?
This has been really helpful. Thank you so much.
Good. You're welcome.
Hey, before everybody jumps off, what other topics would you like to cover along the way in the next 3 months? Give us some suggestions.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, we're
I'm not-
talking about Nextdoor next week for
That's good.
figuring out Nextdoor as far as how real estate agents can use Nextdoor.
I know one of the things I'm really interested in doing is pivoting my real estate business from, I've been working with a lot of buyers, and I think I mentioned on another call that it's been sort of frustrating in the Boston area. So I'm looking to pivot my business and really grow my referral network. So I'd love to, over the years, different jobs that I've had is to, create a niche of no matter where you are, whether you're local or global or here or there, that's what I'm looking to expand. And I know some senior real estate agents and some other companies are kind of pivoting their business too. So I'm looking for, how to really get that message out and marketing that. Maybe that's something, I don't know if other people are interested in that. That's just something that I'm looking to do in 2022. So that people think of me, whether they're in Texas, if corporate contact in the past, oh, even though I live in Texas, I could look for local realtors here, but I'm going to reach out to Carla, because she's a great resource, even though she's in Massachusetts. I'm trying to create that messaging, and I haven't really nailed it yet.
Sounds good. We'll figure something out.
Carla, are you in Texas or Boston? What'd you say?
Boston, but I've worked a lot in Texas, so that's why that's mine. So yeah, I love Texas. All right.
Come to the group on Facebook and put some suggestions in there for us, please. We'll put a post out there tomorrow of what do you want to see or learn.
Very good.
Okay.
All righty.
Everybody have a good night.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.